Looking into your eyes in this moment, I am reminded of the day we met. Before I ever had any conscious knowledge of who you were, before I had ever even interacted with you, our spirits were divinely tethered. When Miss Liz simply spoke your name to me, my entire soul quickened. Every page we've filled on our journey since that day has only affirmed that, baby, I don't just care for you, I am called to you. I am called to spend the rest of my days loving you through all seasons. I am called to accept, appreciate, and protect your individuality so that you always feel safe to navigate our life together as your full and authentic self. I am called in every awakening moment to put past experiences of neglect, exclusion, and rejection in the rearview mirror of your life. I'm called to transform our times of difference into opportunities for deeper intimacy. I'm called to be a forever student in the classroom of your mind, of your body, and your soul, nurturing your dreams and encouraging you to evolve at your own pace. I'm called to break generational strongholds with you and to reflect the image of God in all of the earth. And I am called to ensure that you experience the magic of falling in love over and over and over again.
I'm gonna read my vows. We so much alike. So I wrote my vows this morning at like 5 a.m.
Yeah, I was up at like 6.
Before I read it, probably about a year and a half, 2 years ago, we were separated. And, we were going through some things. And it was the most highest time with me personally. And in that time, I didn't really talk to a lot of people. I kind of stayed to myself, and I understood what was going on. There was a few things that I prayed for, because I was tired of losing the very things that I loved the most, whether that was, playing football or singing. A lot of you know that about me. But I prayed that the Most High would teach me how to become vulnerable as a man. And I didn't realize how not vulnerable I was until I learned how to be vulnerable. And I prayed that he would teach me how to give my all to something. Chelsea Sade Darnell, I love you deeply. The love I possess for you runs deep into my veins, and it flows from my spirit. I've never experienced a love so overwhelmingly strong for anything in this lifetime outside of my love for the Most High. I can never forget when I met you 4.5 years ago. In the most peculiar way. And from the first time I saw a picture of you, I was infatuated with how beautiful you are. But what stole my heart was your spirit. There's something about your presence that commands a room, because you radiate from within. Everything that I've ever seen you touch has transformed or multiplied. I am a reflection of that. Because when you met me, I was a scared little boy. I was trying to figure out who I was and what I wanted my life to be. And the Most High used you as a vessel to connect me back to him. And when he had my attention, he was able to turn a scared little boy into a man of power. Through you, he helped me heal broken pieces of my life that I always chose to ignore. He forced me to look deeper. And he showed me that my purpose in life was much greater than what I intended for myself. And that if I could focus on him, he would restore me and place me in my rightful place in life. I prayed that he would teach me how to give my all to you. But he told me that I would first need to learn how to give my all to him, which would in turn teach me how to love you unconditionally the way that you deserved. When I see you, I see a reflection of the Most High. The way you love people so selflessly, so genuinely, so deeply is a gift. The way you care for people is your gift. It is your superpower. It is who the Most High called you to be. And through your gift, you have turned my world upside down. You've given me a sense of responsibility and purpose as a man. My drive is different. The way I talk is different. The way I love is different. Fear no longer exists. I wake up every day and I look at you and I'm motivated because I know how much you count on me. And for the first time in my life, I can say I know my why. My spirit feels free. My mind is clear. And my heart is overflowing. Chelsea, before all these people today, I confess my love for you. I understand my duty as your husband. And I vow to be the spiritual teacher of our family, the protector of our tribe, and a provider. I vow to lead you and our family by example. I vow to always love you from the deepest depths of my soul. I vow to always respect you, to cover you, to affirm you, and be patient with you. I vow to give you the space to continue to evolve in your own journey. I vow to support you in everything that you do and hold you accountable to it. Chelsea, you are my entire world. And I know that in this lifetime and the next, I'm always going to choose you. To you, my twin flame, my best friend, my turn-up partner, my lover, and now my wife. I love you, Chelsea.
I'm glad I went first. That was great.
You know how beautiful that is, though? Like, you wake up in the morning, you look next to you, and that person is choosing to be there. That's to me why Kadena and I have never put like limitations on or boundaries. I want you to wake up and choose to be here. I don't want to say you got to be here because we did this, or I spent this amount of money, or you got my last name, or we got these kids. No, make a choice. And if at any point you decide that this isn't for you, let's discuss it so that we can move forward and both get what we want. But it's making the choice that makes marriage so beautiful.
All right, so I just want to be straightforward. This next video, I'm not sure if it's going to be long or if it's going to be short. I understand the attention span of a lot of motherfuckers, especially when it comes to a story that may not involve them, so which is cool. Truth be told, I'm starting to realize that a lot of my videos probably are going to be just, for lack of better words, journals for myself to look back on, and shit, probably for my son. I've seen people think about making videos as journals for their children and their children's children to be able to look at what type of times these times were that we're living in, right? And as I say that, I was speaking on, well, I'm thinking about as I say that is Trump basically signing all of those orders recently, right? He signed all of these major orders. Let me be clear. He's trying to birthright citizenship. He's trying to get that the fuck up out of here. Now, truth be told, we understand that the amendment, well, it's the way that the government uses legal jargon can be confusing, and it's very convoluted and very not directly to the point of what the context matters, because the devil is always in the details, right? And as we go forward, we're talking about birthright citizenship and whether it pertains to all immigrants, all people are considered immigrants, or what happened during that time with Lyndon B. Johnson signing those orders and understanding the rights of Black Black Americans, specifically American descendants of chattel slavery, because I've even heard some immigrants say that as we go into the whole aspect of what does it mean to be a birthright citizen, and I hear, like I said before, I've heard immigrants say that it was pertaining to immigrants because we are all considered immigrants. Even Trump himself is not considered a national. I'm not trying to fearmonger anybody when it comes to Trump. Like I said before, we know who Trump is. A lot of these orders, they may get passed. You dealing with a motherfucker that has been convicted of all of the things that he was convicted of. I'm not going to go down the list. And he's still in presidency. So to believe that our country is somehow safe because they have laws, as if you're not talking to a black man in America, as if you're not talking to people that have black people that have called police and literally have been shot dead, black men and black women. I want to focus on that. Now, this is not a discussion that I take lightly. I understand that some black women may feel that I'm attacking these two women. I'm just more so critiquing. And if you feel as though my critique is an attack, I don't know what else because even if I was to talk lightly and it still wouldn't be considered nothing more than an attack to some people because of their own trauma. You know what I mean? Which is understandable because we both go through trauma within America. You know what I mean? Black men and black women. The problem I have with these two women and their stances on their trauma is how they project their trauma on. All right, so I want to be clear on what I mean by, it's about the fifth time I'm recording this. What do I mean by, and excuse my nose, I got some Vicks on it. I'm trying not to get sick. But what do I mean by trauma? Because I'm not trying to victim blame. I understand that we all go through our trauma and we process our trauma different. But let's be clear on what I mean. Now, I'm of the belief of the worst type of person to me is the person, first of all, the statement that I live by is I don't want to be or exemplify myself or go out into the world as a hurt person that's hurting other people, right? I try not to, you know what I mean? I try not to. But the worst thing I would like to be considered is a person that acknowledges my hurt and still goes out to hurt and seeks other person that I can hurt. So the saying goes, we all heard the saying, hurt people hurt other people. But to acknowledge your pain and then go out to seek, this is what I feel like they're doing when it comes to, when you say a statement of marriage is the lowest paid form of sex work, other than you basing it off of marriage back in the day when they traded women like cattle, and it's 2024, you know what I mean? Like, what are y'all, I think that we got to be like, I think that it's handling the conversation of marriage disingenuously, especially with these women, both of these women being black. But I'll give Slumflower that. I can't even give Melyssa Fords the out too, because she's also, in my eyes, Melyssa Fords doesn't understand black American descendants of chattel slavery. She doesn't understand black Americanness. And because of Slumflower not being from America, I know they're not teaching her black love still existing in such a broken down. I'm not saying that you have to accept any type of struggle love, black women. Do not catch that grift. But what I'm saying to you is, when you equate black love to struggle love, that's when you have to, you know what I mean? When you equate black men in your eyes being less than because of what they can provide to you, that's when. Because then you have to understand what type of person you are. What type of person you are. You understand what I mean? That you would actually, whether you want to sacrifice love, actual loving a person, loving a man for Once again, I say it all the time. Women don't marry the man, they marry the lifestyle. More than likely the case, she's marrying the lifestyle. So if she's okay with that lifestyle, it is what it is. When it's a lower lifestyle, she's in love with that man. She's in love with that man. Okay? Now, again, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that women have to be on some, why don't you love black men because black men are struggling, and we've always had each other since the slavery days. I don't even think this pertains to Melyssa Fords and Slumflower, because they don't know what slavery is. I mean, they know what slavery is, but it's only in a sense of, I can point back to that time of those people doing that, rather than my ancestors and stories upon stories upon stories of other people around you and your family, and reading such articles. If you read articles about it, then cool, you got it. But I don't even think these type of black women actually do research on these topics of the nuances when it comes to black relationship dynamics and how IPV works. You know what I mean? Interpersonal violence, domestic violence between black men and black women. Because let's be clear, it's some crazy shit that we do to each other, but we do it to. And I also want to be clear about the interpersonal violence. The only reason I even know about this is because I listened to a podcast by, once again, Yvette Carnell and Tone Talks with Zoe Williams that talk about black love and relationship dynamics. But I also seeked a little bit further. I went to Green Gorilla. I hope that he comes back. I miss a lot of his shit. I started doing like a binge watch of all of his shit when it comes to relationship dynamics between black men and black women. You know what I mean? He's very astute. Also, people, Dr. T. Hassan Johnson, he was the one that put me on to Green Gorilla. You know what I mean? I'm one of those black men that really do care enough to actually seek the statistics, seek the actual data behind this shit. Because when you hear that you're a monster for so long, you either do two things. You believe it, or you know that you're not a monster. So what can you do to seek ways to alleviate that pain from our counterparts, our female counterparts? You know what I mean? And that's what I did. And you're going to look at the CDC. This is statistics from CDC from 2024, I want to say. Either 2024 or 2022. And this is what I mean by it's bi-directional violence. If you look at both of those numbers and you see how similar they are. Yes, women do have a little bit of an uptick on some of them, right? But you got to also understand the nuances. Once again, the nuances. Because how many of men are very proud and braggadocious on them going to the police that their woman beat their ass, or their woman raped them possibly, or their woman tricked them in emotionally coercion? How many men are proud to say that? How many men are going to the police to say that? Now, yes, I do get it that when it comes to believability with black women and how strong that is a real thing. But the shame, men are not even going because of the shame. You understand what I mean? But once again, those numbers in itself, right? Those numbers that the black women and black men that don't go to the police when it comes to IPV and domestic abuse for interpersonal bi-directional violence, it's probably the same amount too, or close to the same. We have a different way that we love each other, and we have a different way that we hate each other. So this is just my thoughts on it. I'm gonna let the video finish. To each other. To keep it focused on this, going back to what I said before, hurt people, hurting people. Hurt people, hurt people. You understand what I mean? Now, I'm not saying whether those people do it subconsciously or consciously as of right now, but that is a thing. And I get it. It does happen. But that's just going back to that. You understand what I mean? Bi-directional violence. I think that these conversations need to be had. And that's why I made this video. Because I don't see enough of people not doing the red pill shit and also not doing the other shit with women. I think that the black dynamics, the black relationship dynamics is a mixture of black men who pander to women, i.e. Derek Jackson's, i.e. we seeing the whole Ace Metaphor shit. We seeing that unfold right now. We don't know what's true, what's not true. Come to find out, they said Ace Metaphor has the same manager as Keita Rose. And that was kind of weird. Like, why y'all have the same manager? Listen, I digress. We see the dynamics and we don't explain the nuances. That's why I respect Trip, because he actually tries to go into the nuances. He's not straight, blatantly red pills type shit, but he's also explaining his dynamics as a black man and also trying to understand why isn't empathy shown towards black men on certain topics. That's one of the last videos I seen of him. And I've been in Trip Fontaine's comment section. A lot of them women don't agree with Trip Fontaine because they expect him to be holier than thou, when he's just like an average black man trying to understand black women or understand himself or understand the community or understand, like, we all trying to figure this shit out. But I digress. I'm going to go on to the next subject. I'm going to let myself finish. Which is going to sound wild to say, on establishments that was never meant for us in the first place. Let me be clear about that. I.e. marriage. American marriage. Specifically marriage with documentation, with the ring, the whole 5-9. You know what I mean? Even the ways that marriage is implemented can be weaponized against both black women and black men. You understand what I mean? But let me be clear. The imperativeness of black men, us as black men, needing you as black women, and vice versa, you as black women needing us as black men. If this Trump shit don't really sink it into y'all brains enough, and to let it be understood that this whole independent mind state, this whole single as a, you know what I mean, as a way of life, I can understand it in a way of saving money. But as far as you're gonna need a lot more spaces to feel protected. Let me just be clear. And I don't know how, because I'm a man, so I don't know how it is with women, but a lot of men, we kind of just do our own thing because we would rather not deal with the fake kumbaya type shit and actually deal with the reality of life and not be in Delulu. You know what I mean? As I hear a lot of black women say, well, a lot of women say, but this shit is getting real. Shit is getting real.
I'm telling you, shit is real. Shit is getting real. Woo!
This shit is getting real, for lack of better words. Like, this shit is really getting real, because when it comes to this shit, I see that it's getting to the point where a lot of the things that he's putting in order is, maybe it may be passed, maybe it won't. You know what I mean? Even things like the EEO. He's taking EEO, equal employment opportunity, out of the protection for American people. He's taking birthright citizenship out of the protection for American people. Now, mind you, I don't even know how I feel about birthright citizenship, because I think that a lot of people have come over here and you weaponize birthright citizenship against America, which is a whole nother bag of worms. There's states that's also going into making it harder for people to exit out of marriages. Now, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I haven't read the details on that, but I listen to black women journalism, feminist black women journalism, because once again, I listen to people that I may not agree with just to get the information. You know what I mean? And she's going down the list, and she's talking about how they're basically, it's going to spread like wildfire when it comes to, oh, that's how you do it? We're going to basically copy and paste, put it in another law in another state, put it in another law in another state. It's getting spooky. It's getting spooky for both black men and black women, because let's be clear, as I've always said before, black American people eat the failure of America. We're the first ones to eat the failure. We're the guinea pigs of America, for lack of better words, because they test things out, see if we can pass a bill here, see if we can pass a few policies here, see if anybody makes an uproar. Do they notice it? How much of a how much of a pushback do they give us? You know what I mean? They figure out what works when it comes to Black American people. Then they roll out to all y'all motherfuckers. Now everybody can catch the word, the for lack of better words, the STD. Everybody can catch this motherfucker. Trumpitis. Trumpitis is crazy. But like I said before, I don't want to divulge too much into it. My main point of making this statement is to let you know, as we go into this video, I want to let it be clear that my critique on the ideologies of these women, or specifically of Slumflower, and how that partakes in her life, and how I see Black women latching on to that ideal. Because when I followed her at the time, it was like a long time ago. When I followed her, it was some black women that I followed, because I was a creative, I was an artist myself. And I mean, she's an artist. I think that she's an artist. I think that at the time she was an artist. She's like maybe a beginner artist at that time when she first started out her activism. I guess a womanist. It's just, I want to say to Black women, be safe. Be safe in the ideologies that you latch onto, and to the Black men also. Be safe into the Black men that you listen to, and how we communicate with each other. Not saying that you have to mince your words, Black men, but also understand what type of woman you're dealing with. Let me just say that. And this is specifically for the Black men. Understand what type of woman you're dealing with. Because once again, she has the freedom to be whoever she wants to be. You know what I mean? Whoever she feels as though she needs to be. She has that freedom to be that, right? So you understand, you meet her where she at, and you either leave her the fuck alone, or you try to, if she may be coachable, teachable, any type of, she wants to learn something from you as a man, then give her some seeds of knowledge. You feel me? That's what we want to do. If anything, we want to be able to teach and grow with, Black women. I understand that there's some Black men that just have casted Black women off, especially Black women with these type of ideologies. And I'm not going to hold you. I feel as though I could never have a conversation with these type of women. Maybe that's my misogyny in their eyes, but I feel as though it's the same thing with Trump. Like, if I see you speak like this and it's an ongoing pattern, then this is just who you are. And I'm not here to change you in who you are. And real quick, what's also crazy about Slumflowers, I'm probably going to put this in between Slumflowers because I'm first going to do Melyssa Fords, right? But Melyssa Fords was after Slumflowers rhetoric, right? And she basically she went on this podcast and just got the people talking because I believe that this is just horrible for Black families, right? But what's weird about Slumflower's take is that as she's talking to the man, I'm not sure if I record this point, but you need to watch the whole interview if you want to talk. And if truth be told, if you don't want to watch the interview, I understand why, because it's a lot of very triggering talking points, for lack of better words. And she kind of just ha the whole situation, but it's very serious. Niggas want to be honest. All right. Yes, this the childless cat lady. I'm gonna just be honest with you. If you are a woman, or if you are a male feminist, just go ahead and pack it up, bro. Like this ain't the one. Like maybe my other videos, this right here is gonna be a lot of my true feelings on the topics of marriage. Now you may want to stay to see what I think about these things, but I'm gonna try to give a more diverse take, right? I went over, I seen a clip of this part, right? I seen a clip of this latter end. I watched the whole thing. had a few mixed feelings about, you know, that's her personal life. She talks about, in this episode, she talks about basically her personal life, her dating history, her dating past, and whether I feel like well, that's why you're here, ain't you? Like, you want to hear what I feel about it, right? All right, so I'm gonna just give you a rundown. She had situations where men have asked her to do like threesomes. Well, excuse me, she's given out situations where not men have asked her, but basically she has asked men to do threesomes with other men, and she was more so ecstatic at the fact that this is just one situation throughout this whole episode. She was ecstatic at the fact that old boy was like, yeah, I'm with this shit. Not realizing, I don't even know how she doesn't realize that at her age, especially being in the industry that she's in, that that particular moment was a whole test. Like, if a woman comes to me and asks to me, okay, I'm willing to fuck you and your homeboy, like literally your best friend, like literally, this is what she said, I'm willing to fuck you and your best friend, how would you feel about that? Now, nigga, like the nigga brain is like, this is a fucking shit test. She trying to fuck with me right now. Like, what the fuck going on? What the kid camera at? Right, I'm about to get fucked up like right now. You know, if I give you the real answer. But I do. But this the thing about this, and I say hoe test facetiously because truth be told, I think that women want to be able to express themselves. Well, I think humans want to be able to express themselves sexually in a plethora of ways. I'm a black man in America. You see what I mean? Like, you got to be certain ways of a man. You have to have a certain type of, you have to be able to provide a certain type of lifestyle to women, specifically women like her, and to the woman that she's going to reference. Now, stick a pin in that, because I want to go to the woman that she's referencing. Okay? I'm giving you a spiel, but I do not think that she takes account. If she ever comes across this video, I do not think that Melyssa Ford, I don't think you take accountability to the fact of the part that you played, because I heard about all of the men and the faults that they had, the imperfections that they had, the flaws that they had. Maybe you thought of yourself giving accountability when you said things like, I knew that I was wrong, I knew that I was cold, but this is boundaries. You still justified in a sense rather than like letting it be what it is. Like, I ain't gonna hold you, I'm not perfect. I've done some dumb shit, you know what I mean, when it comes to how my relationship dynamics towards my significant others, or even to the women that I've loved, or just basically how I interact with women. You understand what I mean? And I think it goes back to the aspect of, it's been a reoccurring history with Melyssa Ford when it comes to accountability. There's issues where she states things that she did that she didn't do. Like, I can probably post the Ish and Melyssa Ford debate that they've had. You know, I hate to say it, but I'm just giving you a fucking receipts. You feel me? They have a back and forth from time to time because of her own accountability. Also, I'm not gonna hold you, her being on a podcast like Joe Budden's podcast, she may be, you know, she may feel as though she's well respected, cool, you know, I'm great. I'm happy that you're happy. But it's almost like the Joy Taylor thing, when a woman inserts herself in those spaces, shit can get sticky. You know what I mean? And especially on special occasions when it comes to topics that are discussed, if that makes any sense. There's been a plethora of times that she said some shit on some patriarchal type shit where she doesn't, well, it's like situations where she said to Ish where she doesn't want Ish to refer to her pussy as a box, right? She hates the words that she hates that he uses the words box, but not pussy, but not, you know, some cut, you feel me? Some I don't know what the fucking young people be saying about the fucking pussy, like, you know what the fuck I mean, everything but vagina. I guess she wants niggas to say vagina. Plus, I want to realize what is Melyssa Fords' other. Yes, I'm doing that. I'm gonna be that. I'm gonna be that nigga, because I feel as though she said that she's mixed race. Am I tripping? First of all, she's Canadian, so let's just start there. You know how I feel about Canadians and how I feel as though it's not that I don't feel like Canadians experience racism. They do, but it's a different type of racism that is, let me see, prevalent in Melyssa Fords' heritage. Is it ethnicity or heritage? Russian, Norwegian, and Barbadian. So she's Russian and Norwegian. Father is West Indian. Her mother is Caucasian. It makes so much sense now. I never knew this, but it makes so much sense on her thoughts, her process on black relationship dynamics, her processes on patriarchy in itself, right? I'm a fan of Tommy Curry, the Man Not, and his plethora of discussions on basically not so much shaming, but more so explaining, if you're going to talk about the men's failures and shortcomings, let's also discuss the woman's failures and shortcomings. And when you exclude one or the other, it does the other side a disservice. I hear so much about these topics when it comes to interpersonal domestic abuse, and the numbers is high. The numbers is high as hell, right? As far as they say how much black women are killed but the thing is that it's damn near neck and neck as far as the data is concerned. As far as the data is shown, I've seen stuff from 2016 where it's like 57-50. It's like 50-50, 57 and 50. Yes, there's a 7% increase as far as men, but sometimes the women are more abusive in certain years. Sometimes black women are more abusive. Whether it be rape, whether it be sexual coercion, whether it be emotional abuse, physical abuse, women have been leaders in the past decade, maybe more, last 20 years. So it's like it's still neck and neck, but sometimes y'all be. So it's like, if we're gonna do the data, let's do the data. Let's talk about the numbers. Now I'm giving you a preference. I'm giving you a what's that preference? I'm giving you a short basically dialogue of what we're about to get into, because I want to talk about these two ladies and their views, and also I want to talk about their upbringing. You know what I mean? Now, Melyssa Ford doesn't go into her upbringing, but we know Melyssa Ford from what? She was brought up in the industry of selling her ass for cash. Now, there's nothing wrong with selling your ass for cash. Some would beg to differ. You know what I mean? If you're trying to marry them, then I would beg to differ. But my main point, as far as I say, there's nothing wrong with you selling your ass as long as you're not going about doing what she's doing right now. She's equating marriage to slavery, specifically for black women. I'm gonna just say this again. She's equating marriage to slavery for black women. I want to go into the video so she can speak on it.
Success means that they still like each other decades later. That's success. They still wake up and want to participate in this partnership. That is success. And that's what they say, that like is more substantial than love. And looking back on my relationships, I realized that like was not high on my list of priorities. And that's probably the reason for failures. So before I sign off, I saw something on Instagram that I wanted to read today. It says, marriage is the lowest paid.
Now, this lady, the Slumflower, I followed her for a point in time because she is like creative. You can understand why I unfollowed her. Black woman too. I just hate that they, and I know so many black women that have the same views. I'm gonna let it finish.
Paid form of sex work. Women are owed
Let me go back. Let me go.
I saw something on Instagram that I
You
wanted
need to hear this
to
clearly.
read today. It says marriage is the lowest paid form of sex work.
Marriage is the lowest paid form of sex work. They're equating marriage to sex work. I'm gonna go as far as to say, right, that marriage, I can understand the sentiment behind women, specifically black women, how marriage can be considered a L. It can be considered a L to women. You know why it can be considered a L to women? Because a lot of women pass up on the aspect. These are women, depending on the mind state of that woman, of course. I'm not saying all women, but a lot of women basically are passing up on the aspect that I could be I could be going out with a Cam Newton and getting everything provided for me. I could literally be one of his wives. I could be one of Nick Cannon's wives. I could be one of, I mean, y'all know what that pray tells, what that comes to. Even the new girl, the Jasmine girl, has had her ass basically say, yeah, he cheated on me, but this was expected. I'm not saying all men, but especially those type of men in those type of predicaments and those type of situations. Yeah, just go ahead and expect that shit. But I can understand how that can be considered an L in women's mind when it comes to marriage. Because let's be clear to the fellas. I want y'all to be understanding this shit, bro. I want y'all to understand this shit. Marriage is for us because of the one woman aspect. The one woman aspect. I said two. The one woman aspect. Usually women have the ability to gain access or gain resources or shit, even gain dick. You feel me? From multiple men. To say that they're gonna cut all of those niggas, all of them resources off, all of that money off, all of that dick off, you feel me? All of that likeness, in her words, in Melyssa Fords' words, off, to get with your ass, with your, what do they call it? What do they hate saying about potential? To get with your potential ass. Now stick a pin in that potential, because we speak on the progressiveness of sexuality, but we don't speak on the progressiveness of, we speak on the progressiveness of relationships from time to time too, on how modern relationships and modern black men and black women interact with each other. This ain't it though. I'm trying to tell you right now, this is not it. To think of marriage as the lowest paid form of sex work. First of all, marriage within Black America has always been, once again, a part of the whole two Americas type shit. The way we raise our family, the way we raise our children is different. The way we talk about finances, the way we talk about life, it's different. So let's start there. It's different. But once again, I'm gonna say it. She is Canadian. So maybe she had a different upbringing. Also, her mother was white and her father was, I want to say her father was Caribbean. Yeah, her father obviously was Caribbean because it's Barbadian. It was very much immigrant type of mindset. It was an immigrant type of mindset. I'm going to say it. Her phenotype is black, but she's given, with this type of thought, it's given Drake. I know that's a big, it's giving Drake. But the reason why I say it's giving Drake is because, you remember what I said in that Drake video? You got to choose a side because you playing, you wishy-washy, you playing on both sides of the fence of your Norwegian and your, Norwegian and what else? Whatever else. Norwegian and the other thing that she was, the other whiteness. And then she was also playing in the Barbados, the Caribbean. Now, my own mindset is going back to the Drake shit because it was the same shit with him. Also, I'll even take it a step further where President Obama, because he had a Kenyan father and a white mother. And it's just, it goes back to the three Americas that I always say, meaning white America, ADOS America, Black American America, and the immigrant America, meaning either Kenyan, Black diaspora, Asian, immigrant American, you know what I mean? Latino, you know what I mean? All of that. But I'm gonna let it finish.
Women are owed reparations.
I'm sorry. I can't. Women are old. What women are old. It's almost. This is what Tommy Curry talks about, and also Dr. T. Hassan Johnson talks about, and how our black women will. And I say our black women. Please don't get offense. I would hope that you would want to be included with me as a black man, but with statements like this, women are owed reparations. Women, not black women, not black people, women. You see what I mean by the mind state? The Norwegian mind state? This is very much in the bag of, what's her name? Margaret Sinks? Whatever the feminist lady that started this shit. Not real. I don't even think y'all care about the fact that she didn't give a fuck about black people. So to use the same problematic rhetoric of her ass, it's kind of like, I'm gonna let it finish.
The people we lay with are the people who are most likely to kill us, which sounds really dark, but that's the reality we're living in.
That goes both ways. Bidirectional, interpersonal, bidirectional violence. Interpersonal violence. I'm gonna put the stats up somewhere in the screen, but basically it goes both ways. It's basically what I was saying before. If you are talking to a black woman, or you are talking to a black man, and y'all go into a fight, even if it's a domestic abuse or verbal abuse, it's abuse, right? Like they would say, it was abuse, right? That's how these things go. You're not going to always see things eye to eye. And yes, sometimes we're not always perfect on how we handle these things. I say we meaning black men, but I also mean people, meaning women too, if you don't get it.
The reality is women have lost their lives in pursuit of men. Women have lost their futures in pursuit of love. I think we all need to really sit down and ask ourselves as individuals, what does love actually mean for me? And what in my life resembles that? Does the man that I've chosen resemble that love that I want and deserve? The traditional idea of love is damaging for women because
the traditional ideal of love is damaging for women because it involves us being self-sacrificial in order to prove our worth. I don't understand. Maybe I need to look at it in a different sense. What is love if it's not without sacrifice? What is love if it's not without sacrifice? What is love if it's not without sacrifice, bruh? Literally, just think about that shit. What is love if it's not without sacrifice? Sacrifice to your children. Sacrifice to your mother or your father. Sacrifice to your significant other. Sacrifice to your friends, family alike. Sacrifice for your art. Sacrifice for the people. When it comes to black activism, what is love if it's not without sacrifice? And yes, sometimes sacrifice hurts. It hurts because sometimes the people that you sacrifice for is either literally, sometimes it's not acknowledged sometimes, or it's not acknowledged to the extent that you want it to be acknowledged at. And at that point you have to question, okay, where's my boundaries? What do I stay? Do I stay in this love? How do I feel? How do I process these feelings of this love? Or is it something that I just want to gain from? Or is it something that I just want to take, which is what she's doing in this statement. I'm going to go back.
The traditional idea of love is damaging for women because it involves us being self-sacrificial in order to prove our worth. Men need to learn to find sustenance, entertainment, and sexual gratification outside of women because we don't owe men that.
Men need to learn to find sustenance, entertainment, and sexual gratification outside of women because stick a pin in that. Because I watched the last interview of her with the old boy when she spoke on what she identifies as. Slumflower identifies as gray asexual type shit, meaning she doesn't need sex. She doesn't need sex. This is a statement from a woman that does not need any type of sexual urges. She looks at people that can't control themselves as children, right? Which is rightfully so, but there's context. The context is that asexual people really, they can go years without years. Okay? Now, back in the day, that was normal. That was regular, right? Which is crazy because I'm thinking about her beliefs on traditional and how traditional lines up with asexual, because you basically have the discipline to be able to control your sexual urges. It's wild.
We live in a society where men assign women humanity and worth based on how attractive they are to them.
Gotta let that sit on the screen. We live in a society where men assign women humanity and worth based on how attractive they are to them. Now, I will agree with you on that, but let's not act like the reason why I want to put a pin in that is because pretty privilege is a thing on both sides, be it man or woman. You just had the whole issue with I'm gonna probably put him up, but basically there's an actor that's basically going viral on TikTok. He's a gay actor that basically, I found out that he was gay because I'm thinking that these girls are flocking to this man, like literally head over heels. And there's this one woman that's literally got children. She has a husband, I think she's married and everything, and she's on TikTok telling her children, black woman, on TikTok telling her children, call this man daddy. Call this man daddy. He is now your daddy. I tell them all the time, this is your daddy. TikTok has a weird sensationalized, like salacious shit. Like they just do shit to go viral. But still, it's like the need to even do that is still like wild to me, because I can see that happening outside of TikTok too. But we live in a society where men assign women humanity and worth based on how attractive they are to them. Melyssa Fords, we live in a society where women assign men humanity and worth based on how productive and useful we are to y'all. You even giving out this statement is not based on any type of love, but what have you done for me? This is the whole statement that you're giving. What have you done for women? Not, and that's another thing, not for specifically black women. It's not even a thing of black women. It's just like for women. I have no alliance to any, and some would say I don't have alliance to you. I feel as though I would want to protect black women. I would want to make sure that, but at this point in day and age, with sentiments like this being plastered over the internet and reaching the likes of someone like her, and also spreading like wildfire, for lack of better words, throughout the black woman networks and podcasts. And it's like, if black women feel like this, then maybe y'all do need to just excommunicate yourselves. Like, if to the black women that don't feel like this doesn't have to pertain to you. But to the black women that do feel like this, maybe you do have to literally call yourself something other than black, because you're using black when you, it's like the flip shit. You go into the black bag, but then you use the white woman's bag, but then you go back to the black bag because you being a misogynoir, you know what I mean? But then you also act like a misandrist because you literally hate all men. You literally hate all men because of whatever upbringing you have. Maybe your father wasn't in your life the proper ways. Maybe your mother was overprotective and a helicopter parent. Stick a pin in that.
Women humanity and worth based on how attractive they are to them. Men need to learn to find sustenance, entertainment, and sexual gratification outside of women, because we don't owe men that deserved a repeat. Thank you so much for joining me.
That deserved a repeat because guess what? She worked in the field for, 20 years. She worked in the field, 20 years twerking and shaking her ass. That deserved a repeat because that's her own life perspective of understanding that most of her life, she's been a piece of ass. Like I say, most of her life. I don't know how old she is, but a good amount of her life, she's been some work. She's been some ass. Like Melyssa Fords, I'm not gonna hold you. Yes, I got the King magazines and all them shits. Yes, when I was younger. I'd rather that than the damn Hustler magazines than the white girls. Listen, for research purposes, I got those magazines. For research purposes. For research purposes. For research purposes. And like she said, I can't depend on women to for my sexual needs, my sexual urges. So I gotta depend on paper and publication. Okay? God damn it. I'm being facetious. I'm being fucking facetious. Maybe it's a little bit too much information, but we gonna be keeping it real. We gonna keep it real. But the main thing is this, man. For her and her background, her and her lifestyle of being someone that was in publications like King magazines, I could probably pop them up of all of the magazines that she was in and how she displayed herself, right? Because let's be clear, this is something that she chose. There was no victim in this type of situation. As much as we go back to that last video where the lady said that I was young, I was a victim. She chose this, and she kept choosing this. Mind you, she kept choosing this because that was where the money was at. Let's just keep it a fucking stack. You chose money and not love, Melyssa Fords. And that's okay. But do not then tell all black women that you're slaves to the man because you're married. And it's the lowest form of sex work. What type of shit is that? Let's go to the original lady that basically made the actual comment. Her name is Chidera Igeru. If I'm butchering her name, I apologize, but I just want to let y'all listen to the conversation. Now, first of all, we need to first talk about this we need to talk. You stole that name, nigga, because I seen your page. It just started last year. You stole that damn name. We Need to Talk actually is another form of podcast where these two couples talk, and then there's another We Need to Talk that's basically connected to that podcast. I want to believe that's connected to that podcast. But this nigga just took the name We Need to Talk and I already got like 100. I hope that the other one got we talk about everything, but what we need to be talking about. Let's start the fucking show.
Different than even my neighbor's environment, right? It cushioned me. But what would you say your immediate environment did for you?
So Peckham has a nickname of being.
This is the lady Slumflower. That's her real name on the screen, but this is Slumflower. Now I follow her when she had the afro and it was like a orange brown afro. She had the titties just sagging, just basically free expression, which I ain't got no problem with. I understand, basically her wanting to choose her form of expression when it comes to her clothes and her outfits. That's like, I ain't got a problem with that. I do have a problem with you then making it back on men for you exposing yourself. Okay? We're going to go to the bear conversation, right? You remember you said that if you send you out in the forest, if you send a lady out in the forest, what should she be more scared of, the bear or the man? You remember that conversation that a lot of women, and I'm pretty sure that she understands, she's choosing the fucking bear. She's choosing the bear. Like, we don't even have to have that combo right now. She's choosing the bear. But if you know that men are like that, why then still choose to dress in this manner? You know what I mean? Once again, going back to the Melyssa Fords, choice. Now, yes, you are a grown adult woman, but why would you put yourself in danger knowing that men can be, as you say, worse than bears in a forest? Because there's a lot worse things than death. These are from women's words from those videos. Then why still choose that then? Because you still put it back on men and how they should change it. But you know that men are so-called the patriarchy, and the patriarchy is a dominance over America. So why do you think that men are going to change then? Let alone for a black woman. Why do you think that they're going to change? I say that in a form of not critiquing of her, but more so trying to understand the sentiments of why still put your life in risk if you know that if you say that your life is at risk because you would rather choose the bear when it comes to men all around you. But if you listen more, you understand that she feels as though she has some type of dominatrix over men, and she feels as though she can maneuver in this dominatrixness, I guess, for lack of better words.
In Little Lagos because of the dense Nigerian population in Peckham. And so for me, growing up in Peckham.
And also Peckham is in, I think that's in London. Maybe it's in London. Peckham or UK, probably one of them two.
Peckham, and being raised by two Nigerian parents in a Nigerian community, and having this upbringing that centered around, focus on your books. You need to be successful one day. I don't want to see you outside hanging around with boys. It was very strict. I had what people would often refer to as helicopter parents.
Stick a pin in that. Helicopter parents. Helicopter parents. If you are a helicopter parent, you have to stop and allow that child to be free and allow them to express themselves. Now, yes, have boundaries for that child, but do not constrain that child so much. Literally wring the fucking life out of that child to where they do this. She's even not blatantly said it, but she said that she has been formed because of her helicopter parenting.
My mom was the dominant force in the household, which is a very common thing.
If her mom was the dominant force in the household and her father was passive, which is a lot of times the case, not just in African families, but also in African American families. Mom is the most dominant, big mama, and the male is, the father is kind of just, I'm just trying to go along to get along with her because I don't want her to be spazzing. Happy wife, happy life, right? Happy wife, happy life, right? And it created this child. She had both of her parents in her life. She had both of them.
In Nigerian families, the mother normally takes on more of a dominant role, especially when it comes to which parent asserts over the kids.
And to the people that's not in African, it's also African American families too, where the mother takes a dominant role. Sometimes lack thereof, the father being present, you know what I mean? Sometimes the father be like, you know what, you got it, I'm out, like I'm not dealing with this no more. It's weird because I was having a conversation with my sister and she was speaking on the aspect of how women go through change. Literally, their brain chemicals will change. Their brain chemicals will change after pregnancy, right? And I said to her, and I was like, you know what, that makes sense. That makes sense because you know what also happens? With that change, the man be like, as much as women say that the absent father, the man be like, you know what? This is not the woman that I fell in love with. This is not the woman that I fell in love with. And that was my take. You know what I mean? Is I can see how men see that change, that mental chemical change, sometimes even physical change. It's not just straight up her how she talks to him, how she speaks to him, how she interacts with him. All of that is changed. Like, my sister also spoke on postpartum depression, how women can last 7 years and above in postpartum depression. Now, there's levels to that shit, but 7 years of depression is wild for your child. You know what I mean? And that's why I can go back to understanding how marriage can be a L for women. Having babies can be a L for women. It's like literally putting your body on the line. You know what I mean? Like literally putting your life on a line, decreasing your life. Like I've heard situations where women's hair fall out, their teeth fall out their fucking mouth. Like, I'm not sure if a lot of men know this type of shit. You know what I mean? That's why I'm discussing it with y'all, because I know it's a lot of men that watch my channel. But it's wild, man. I'm gonna let her finish.
And so my mom was what I'd describe as a helicopter mom. And to expand on that phrase, extremely protective, to to a point where I would probably describe as doing the opposite of what she probably wanted, because when you're overprotective towards your child, you actually push them away, because what you're trying to protect them from is based on your own fears as a parent. And so when you project your own fears onto your child, especially in an environment where you're telling them things like, it's dangerous out there, you've got to come home immediately from school, no socializing afterwards, there's an extremism that's created which breaks the trust. So even though I wasn't a sneaky child that went off to go and sneak to parties and sneak to go do drugs or sneak to go and do the things that were my parents' worst nightmare, I would genuinely sneak to just hang out with my friends and be creative, like sneak to go take photos of my photographer friends, or sneak to go and attend like art events, because I just really wanted to be a part of something. And very early on in my late teenagehood, I felt like I was living a double life, where on the outside, when I wasn't around my mom, I was more of myself. And then as I was, approaching home, putting the key through the door, I had to switch on a version of myself that was performatively docile.
Interesting.
And performing this innocence and performing.
That matters. That matters. It goes back to the protective parents. Y'all have to chill, bruh. Allow your children to be them. First of all, allow your children to be children. That's the first off. Second off, allow them to be able to explore themselves, whether it be how they think about the world, how they think about your parenting. Of course, let them know, listen, I'm still the motherfucking head nigga in charge, or I'm a head boss in charge. Don't be coming out the side of your neck. You know what I mean? But it's just the way to go about that shit. You know what I mean? Without creating this. Because I'm not going to hold you. This is because of her parenting. Her views on marriage is because of her upbringing as a child. They say that there's this study that's going around that basically say that you form a lot of your life opinions from the age of 7, damn near. I want to say 5 or 7, 7 to 8. And once that sticks, like, it changes somewhat, but it's like a lot of your views they stick for real.
This lack of awareness of how the world around me works, because if my mother was to
see what I mean,
notice that I was too aware, then that would give away to her that I've obviously been doing some sneaky things, which would bring on a lot of very heavy punishment that would be quite it's the whole thing of, it's so normalized in African culture to have extreme punishments for things that don't match what you're being punished for. So there was a lot of yelling in my household, a lot of beating. I think it's a thing that was learnt culturally from my mother, whoever raised the person who raised my mother, that taking a child's self-esteem apart is a form of corrective punishment, which, as you come to find later on, when it's now a time in both of your lives as mother and child where you have now got an adult child who has moved out and your adult child doesn't speak to you anymore, that's very difficult to grapple with. And that's a situation I'm in where it's been 6 years, I don't speak to my mom, and that's a choice that I made.
You currently do not speak to your mother.
Yeah. And it's not something that I talk about often.
That matters, bruh. That fucking matters. You know why that matters? Is because that vitriol that she has where she does not speak to her mother, that vitriol that she has that she does not speak to her mother, maybe it was going to the aspect of, why weren't you there to protect me? Why weren't you there to actually care about me? Why didn't you care about me in these facets, in these parts of my life? Why weren't you there when I needed you? That matters. But you know what also does matter? How she spoke on her father.
In the Imperial Empire, here.
Yes.
But you have had therapy. So now I'm even more curious. What about the relationship with your father?
So interestingly, around the time when I cut my mum off, I'd also cut my dad off. Okay. Because for me, it was like, my anger towards my dad was that he didn't protect me. Like, it was a thing where he just kind of let her.
That was a horrible cut. He didn't protect her. She's looking for her father for protection against her mother. And this is the same woman that says that marriage is the lowest form of sex work. Do you understand what the fuck is going on right now? This is a whole mind fuck. Something ain't right. Am I not tripping? Like, something isn't right about her views on the world because of her upbringing as a child. And to have someone speak on this, Melyssa Ford, and Melyssa Ford's background, we don't even know what her parents and upbringing is like, but it's probably the same. If we want to be 100 honest, it's probably similar to the fact that her father wasn't actually in the picture and actually stood up on certain subjects, and her mother was overbearing or overprotective and squeezed her out into the woman that she is.
Just do what she wanted to do because she was so insistent, and it was safer for him to just let her do what she's doing. Family members who are related to me through my dad, like his sisters, would like get involved and be like, Dad really wants to speak to you. We really understand why you're upset. Can we arrange a conversation? Can we help mediate? And I was like, no, I'm not ready. I don't want to talk to him. And then it got to a stage where I said, you know what, look, if he wants to ever speak to me again, he's going to have to write me a letter detailing exactly what he's sorry for and how he believes that I've been impacted.
That's the boundary.
Right.
That you said. And he just...
If I was ever in a situation like this, I would write my daughter a letter. I would hope that we never get to that point, because there's so many things that can happen that can lead to this type of situation, especially when you have women like her being the face and forefront of womanhood, of basically black womanhood too. There's a lot of black women that I know that are in UK that think like her. And we've had a falling out. I had to like low-key just stop messing with the old girl, because it's like, I find you fucking sexy. I find you attractive as fuck. But your mind, the way your mind is, it's almost like I don't even want to try to put my dick inside you. Like, I don't even want to speak to you in that type of way no more. Like, we used to talk shit. We used to flirt. We used to back and forth. You know what I mean? And it kind of like, when I realized how she felt about certain topics when it comes to black manhood, specifically black manhood, and how I don't feel any type of, it was vitriolic. It was reactive and it was vitriolic, for lack of better words. And this is what I'm getting from a woman like this. And I'm pretty sure that she probably got some cues from her too. I want to go to another few. Let me see.
So if you look throughout the history, I'm with
favor, and that's the unwritten code of patriarchy.
Yeah, let's go deeper into this, because you're touching upon an area that, you know, when I was doing my research on you, I felt this is so interesting, because you could be, I say, one of the few, but I honestly could not identify anyone else speaking about this subject the way that you speak about the subject. So, and you know, I haven't talked to all 8 billion people in the world, but you're definitely, I think, one of the more prominent voices on this. So in particular, I want to look first at this idea of love, right? And I've seen you talk about this, write about this, that the traditional idea of love is damaging specifically for women. Why so?
Speaking on it.
The reason why I think that the traditional definition of love is damaging for women is because it involves us being self-sacrificial in order to prove our worth. And what I mean by us being self-sacrificial is, you hear these stories of women saying that,
how does a man show up in a relationship if it's not to be providing? When you provide, you're giving of yourself as a man. I don't know what she doesn't understand about that. Maybe she doesn't think that that's not sacrifice. But to give half of everything of me, damn near, if I had to give my left fucking kidney to my wife, I would. To my wife, to my children, I would. I would literally be like, if it's gonna save them, I would go through that pain. It hurts me sometimes when I think about these conversations with our own black women, bruh. It makes me low-key want to like tear up, low-key. Like I'm being dead ass, bruh. It makes me low-key want to be like, because I understand it's like the Noah's Ark, everybody can't come. But I hate the fact that so many of the amount of women that feel like this, or even a semblance of this, it's a lot. even the ones that say that they're quote unquote traditional conservatives or traditional housewives, they do have something in the back of their head that still wants to go with the womanhood, go with the sisterhood of, because they see semblance of, that's a black woman, I'm a black woman. If she feels this way, then maybe I should feel this way. It's like a sheep mentality with a lot of women, because if you hurt one woman, then it's like, why are you hurting that woman? Now I got to get on you for hurting that woman. And it's like, no, sometimes you have to excommunicate that woman. And yes, that may hurt that woman, but you need to make sure that you protect the people. Now, if she feels like she's not a black woman, or she uses black women when it's in her favor, she uses the word black and noir, because you can always use misogyny, but when she uses noir and black when it's in her favor, that's a problem. I feel as though she does this. It's not even I feel as though she does do this, because I think as though her Nigerian life is, it's not that it does not matter, but that comes from a place because of her childhood. We have to discuss the whole thing, and that's why I appreciate these type of conversations, because now we know why she is the way she is and who she is the way she is. Even myself, how I view the world is because of my upbringing, because of how I process things. The shit that I went through, I do not think that people that would have gone through the same thing would have came out with the same brain. Human beings are so fucking weird sometimes. But that's why I like y'all weird ass motherfuckers. You know what I mean? I'm weird too. You know what I mean? But
I was close to finishing my degree and I was off to follow my dreams, and then I fell in love. And then he said, why don't we move countries, because he's starting a new job on another continent. And I wanted to choose love. So I left my dreams behind in my country of origin, and I moved to go stay with him so that I could help him to follow his dreams, and I could be the good wife. And ends up becoming that, you stay in that for years, and you're quietly resentful as a woman because the marriage wasn't really worth you upping and leaving your life.
She's giving a bad example, first of all. She's giving an example of, first of all, you have to be able to understand what choices you are making. That's the first thing. Second off, love is not fucking guaranteed. Love is not a guaranteed successful, happy, joyous life. Love is not guaranteed. It's sacrifice, yes, but it's not guaranteed. And that's the part about marriage that's even hurt me. I want to be married, but I have to understand that that woman that I get married to is not guaranteed to love me in the ways that I may need to be loved at whatever particular type of time that I need to be loved. All right, I thought I was fucking not streaming. About to say, but yeah, it's love is not guaranteed, and it is a sacrifice. Sorry, but it is what it is. It is what it is.
And now you stopped your dreams to fulfill someone else's.
But I will agree. You first have to figure out who you are. I will agree with her on that. I think she said something like that when Melyssa Fords was reading it. You have to figure out who you are, whether you're a man or a woman. Figure out who the fuck you are, what makes you happy, what things you like, what things you don't like. The thing about that is, when it comes to pertaining to somebody else, you have to understand that you got to go through that process of figuring out how do I relate to somebody. And sometimes that mirror is hard to fucking look at, especially at long years period of times. You know what I mean? It's hard to be able to like assess yourself in somebody else's eyes. Sometimes you may not like the messenger because they may have ate your last cookie and you told their ass don't eat that fucking last cookie. Now they on your shit list. But they actually give you some type of a critique that you do need to look at. And you know you need to look at, but because you're mad at them for that cookie, now it's something bigger than that. You know what I mean? It's nuances to this shit. That's basically what I'm explaining. There's nuances to these type of conversations. It's not always black and white. You understand what I mean? It's like, I really
and you're not even being appreciated, and it ends up being 9 times out of 10 that man is cheated anyway, and now you just...
Why you married him if 9 times out of 10 he's cheated? Why did you marry him if 9 times out of 10 he has probably cheated on you? Once again, going back to choice, accountability of the woman making a bad choice, right? I feel as though if you feel that 9 times out of 10 your partner, whether you be, I hate saying the word partner. I sound like huh. Ugh, don't your husband or your wife, okay? Because there's meaning in words. There's meaning in words. But 9 times out of your 10, your husband or your wife, if you feel like your husband or your wife is cheating, you made a bad move in choosing them, okay? And that goes a part of the process of finding love. That's a part of the fucking process. It's not guaranteed to make sure you're joyous, you're successful, and you're over, you know what I mean? Like you're living the American dream. It's no guarantee. That was sold to us. That was sold to us. Us, meaning black men and black women. It was sold to us. Slumflower or whatever. Slumflower. It was sold to both of us, lady. Like, I don't understand.
Just feel really stupid, and you feel like all that time has gone to waste and there's nothing you can do about it because you can't get that time back. That's something I see very commonly. Some people might argue like, oh, she talks about men too much, she talks about love too much, this is so repetitive. But the reality is women have lost their lives in pursuit of men. Women have given up their futures in pursuit of love. And I think we all need to really sit down and ask ourselves as individuals, like, what does love actually mean for me, and what in my life resembles that? Does the man I've chosen resemble the love that I want and deserve?
So that begs the question, what does love mean to you?
So to me, love is unconditional acceptance. And at the
Put a pin in this shit. I remember this part right here. I'm gonna go back.
So to me, love is unconditional acceptance. And at the same time, love is also an action. I want to feel taken care of.
How can you do that? That's literally oxymoronic. That's literally an oxymoron. I'm gonna go back. Y'all gotta listen to this shit.
So to me, love is unconditional acceptance.
Love is unconditional acceptance.
And at the same time, love is also an action.
It's also an action.
I want to feel taken care of by him. I want to feel prioritized and considered without me taking over his life. Because I think
unconditional acceptance. How are you unconditionally accepting, but at the same time, you have to have certain standards that and certain criteria that need to be met for your love. So if he does it for the first point of time, right, and then he stops, that's a condition. That literally in itself is a condition of your love. Do you understand what I mean by this is confusing? First of all, this is very much confusing. It's confusing in the sense of where she started from as far as a child. It's confusing in the sense from how she feels is about unconditional love. And it's going to be one thing I think I'll tell you about the asexual shit.
You can prioritize things you love without them taking over your life. And when I expand further on wanting to be taken care of, my expectations of a man who loves me, granted that we're in the dynamic of a relationship that I've chosen to be in with him, he'll be financially taking care of me. And this is the part of the conversation where
unconditional acceptance and financially taking care, there's conditions to her love. Just keep it like, stop the unconditional love shit. Stop the woo-woo language, like the emotional language. You want money, and that's cool. Just say you want money. Say that you want to have a sponsor, not a husband, but a sponsor. Not a man that's going to protect you and provide for you, but more so a man that you will listen to you whenever you say, hey, I need this dollar, I need these $20, $200, $2,000. You feel me? And a little sip of Chardonnay. I need you right here, pronto. You feel me? And that's what you want. That's cool. But don't. It's kind of like the aspect of being outside the club and you don't want to get in. It's not that you can't get in, but you don't want to. Then why speak on the club? Why hate outside the club when you don't want to get in? You hating outside the club of marriage when you do not want to get in. You hating outside the club of black love, and you don't want to get in. You hating outside the club of black interpersonal relationships and the dynamics between this, and you can care less about black people and their interpersonal relationships. You can care less about that shit because you make your own history. It's almost like she's revising history, if anything.
A lot of people sort of like wince and they're like, oh, I don't like that. It's uncomfortable
Or
because
she picks and chooses which history she wants.
I think especially when it comes to feminism coming into the conversation, when we discuss money and men, it's a very touchy area. And that's because when we talk about receiving financial support from men, especially under the umbrella of love, there's this idea that if a man financially supports you, then he automatically has ownership over you, and that you are infantilized and disempowered. Because according to
I'm gonna say it like I said before. If you're choosing a man that feels this way, you had to have seen the fucking signs. Now, if you don't see the signs, and I'm not gonna do no victim blaming, then once again, that goes back to what? Sometimes love is not all, okay? Sometimes love is not perfect. Sometimes, yes, you may fall in love with somebody, but you realize later on, oh, this was a wrong choice. It's a wrong choice. It is what it is. Yes, some people prey on people that have good intentions. Some people will even have quote unquote good intentions and really be predators, but they don't even realize it. And maybe the other person does not have the vocabulary to be able to express these things in the way that both of them can understand that maybe that other person that's a predator is doing these things wrong. Now, I use predator lightly because women can be predators too. Women can be predators too. We're going to keep going.
modern feminism, you need to be independent and you need to be the girl boss. Girl boss so close to the sun that you pay his bills because you are so empowered. And I think that there's a middle area where that Venn diagram meets, where you can be independent and still receive support. So my version of feminism, my version of independence is save my money and spend his. Yes, because I'll be more economically empowered if I have more of my own money, use his bricks to build my empire.
Okay. All right.
It's the whole my money is your money. As a man, my money is the woman's money, and her money is her money. That type of
I
situation.
definitely want to spend a lot of time.
And it's like, it's cute, you know what I mean? And it's like, kiki, and it's cute, right? But what happens when that man loses his money? Is that part of your unconditional acceptance? Or is there a condition, like we've stated? There is condition to her unconditional love. It's a lot of bullshit, man.
Talking about the finance side. Because, you know, my first career was finance.
No way.
Yeah, I was an investment banker. So I was an investment banker.
Parents must have been proud.
And then, yeah, but think of how proud they were when I said I'm going to become an investment banker. Then think of how disappointed they were when I said, I think I'm going to give it all up and become a matchmaker. They were like,
why?
I'm like, what?
Well, which one is matchmaker? What's matchmaker?
Like, yeah, exactly.
Matchmake the money.
It was.
It is true that men are having a difficult time mentally. There's this whole conversation about the male loneliness epidemic, which I find quite interesting and almost hilarious because, like,
Really?
She just, this is the
of
woman
course
that's
you're gonna be
having
lonely.
these
You've killed all the women. Like,
You gotta listen to that shit. Listen to that shit. I'm gonna stop talking.
almost hilarious because, like,
Really?
oh yeah, of course you're gonna be lonely. You've killed all the women. Like, what?
You've killed all the women. You've killed all the women, men. That's why you're lonely. This is dangerous fucking talking points, bro. And it's like, I appreciate him for allowing her to feel safe, but we on these YouTube streets. This is dangerous, dog. This is dangerous. We've killed all the women. That's why we feel lonely. That shit makes me just, my skin crawl. That makes my skin crawl. Maybe she's speaking on particularly white men, but I don't know what she's speaking on because I think that she's speaking on all men. All fucking men. You've killed all the women. That's why you're lonely. That's some wild shit to say. It's not true. It's not, obviously it's not true if women outnumber men. Obviously it's like, what type of shit is she being
What do you
facetious?
mean? Why are you complaining that you're lonely? But also, irony and sarcasm aside,
Yeah.
I think the male loneliness epidemic and feminism, these are all components that exist next to each other, because what's happening is the more women find their worth, the more they don't want to be around men. And men are like, oh, what about me? I want you to center me more. And it's like, well, men need to learn to find sustenance, entertainment, and sexual gratification outside of women, because we don't owe men that. And so when I
find sustenance, sexual gratifications outside of women. I would also, this is not even a toe for toe. I truly don't understand the entitlement upon a man's pockets, as Slumflower has said, the entitlement on a man's pockets that a lot of women like Slumflower feel as though they're entitled to. My money is my money. Your money is my money.
talk about money, when I talk about expecting more from men, when I talk about the fact that I wouldn't date a man who isn't a provider, or
provide for yourself. Provide for yourself. We are both equal individuals. We both grown adults. I'm providing for me. You providing for you. Like,
the men who are on the complete opposite side of that, who harp on about male loneliness, they're the ones who come into my comments and they're like, well, this sounds really cold. What about love? This is all about love.
Well, so then, are you an advocate for marriage?
Yes, on the terms that the woman benefits.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is, if someone was to ask me, which I get this question quite often, would you ever get married? And when I give this answer, people laugh and it's like, I'm being serious. It's like, take me seriously, guys.
Okay.
I would genuinely marry if as properties in plural, properties in my name, assets in my name. I want land, I want assets, I want properties.
You got to understand where this comes from, being a black person, okay? This is not just women. This is when you do not have, and you see generation upon generation upon generation upon generation of not having. Black people throughout the diaspora feel this shit. Even her back in her own country has had this same type of life, even in her own country. And you go outside of your country and you realize, oh, there's actually there's lifestyles other than the one that I've been living for the last 20 to 30 plus years. This comes from a place of, because it's like, I can see how black women can latch on to these ideals, but you also have to think about, why do you think about the things that you think about? Nobody really thinks about, why do I think about the things that I think about? That matters. Is it just because of the time of the day? Is your emotions running? Is it because of the apps on the phones, the news that you interact with, your personal friends and family, what y'all talk about, what type of foods that you eat sometimes even? You know what I mean? Did you exercise? Your own self-dialogue with yourself? That all fucking matters.
I'm not marrying for love just as an emotion. I'm marrying for love as security. I'm marrying for my future to be set good, the future of my children, for the rest of my life and their life.
Look.
Which he should. All right, I want to read. All right. I think he explains in this. I'm going to let it go and...
More money than he does, has more.
All right, so this is a part also.
And are the ones who are in charge of all of this infrastructure. Okay. So it's always going to benefit them. It's about just going for beyond the first guy who gives you a compliment and being like, well, I have to marry him because I've been swept off my feet. It's about understanding that you're deserving of compliments. You're beautiful. Like, men are going to flatter you all the time, but you need to do the picking and you need to make these men audition.
Okay, and I'm with you on that, right? The part that I'm struggling with is the assets part, right? So are you saying, let's say, for example, we have a gentleman who, let's say, is 25 years old, and it's a heterosexual relationship. You have the woman who has a higher level of education, makes more money than he does, has more assets than he does. But he's a nice guy. And he says he loves her.
He said.
What do you think should happen in that situation? And he wants to marry her. What should she do?
I think she shouldn't marry him.
Listen.
It sounds just going to sound so heartless and cold. I know people are going to be like, this is horrible. What do you mean? She's already got her own assets anyway.
Right.
He just, all she needs is just his love. Like, if I was in that scenario you've just described, which I probably am really, I have a lot going for me. I'm successful in my own right. And that's the more reason why I'm always looking for like what's out there, what's bigger. There's always someone who's got more than me. I can learn from him. I can take his assets.
Right, and do it. So Chidera, the reason why I asked about that scenario is because that was me and my wife.
Oh,
that was exactly us. At 25, my wife had a master's degree. I didn't have a master's degree yet. She was working in a law firm. She was making much more money than I was.
Mm-hmm.
And she was wealthier. She had more assets. She had a higher net worth than I did at 25. And then we got married at 25.
That's really...
And she did something that I know you're going to say was insane. I wanted to start a business, and I didn't have any money. And you know what she did?
Did she invest in you?
She liquidated her retirement fund.
Girl, where you at? Girl.
Keep your wife away from her. Keep your fucking wife away from her ass. Keep your wife away from that fucking, for lack of better words, on some Crimson Cure shit, that hyena. Keep your wives, hide your wives, hide your kids, because she's trying to fuck up everybody's head over there.
She liquidated her, so all of her savings for retirement.
And I also understand how this can be considered an outlier. This is not something that most people will do. Shit, not even men that have the finances will do this. But this is what love is. It's sacrificial. It's sacrificial, dog.
She took that out. She took the penalty.
That's what love is.
And she gave it over to me, and she said, all right, you want to start a business? Start it with that.
Wow.
Out of words. Don't even know what the fuck is
That's a huge gamble to take.
It is. And I'm saying that I feel like, okay, maybe we're the exception. But the reason why I bring that up is because that is an actual example of it working.
Not what she was saying of maybe he may be cheating on you. 9 times out of 10, he's cheating on you. Maybe he's basically not worth it or some other shit. Basically, all these hypotheticals. Love is sacrificial, self-sacrifice, and it's not guaranteed to be perfect. Whether it be the first time or the second time, as far as like marriage is concerned. Marriage is not guaranteed to be perfect. It's not guaranteed to be what you would want. It's a process every time. I would liken it to, I don't know what I would liken it to, because it's like I'm scared of it my damn self. You know what I mean? But I'm scared of it at the same time. I still want to ride that ride, like on some. You know what I mean? I still want to ride the ride of marriage, whether it be the ups and downs, you know what I mean, for lack of better words. And we're going to go to the gray sexual thing, because I wanted to talk about that as well.
You don't need to have sex with men. And I know that you've mentioned in the past, you've said that you are asexual.
Yes, I'll describe myself as gray asexual.
Okay. I'm with you. If you could explain what gray asexual is for everyone.
So within my definition of grey asexual, I will first explain what asexual is, because a lot of people are more familiar with that term, and I think there's a lot of preconceptions. Asexual essentially describes a person who doesn't feel romantic or sexual attraction towards other people. They're just not somebody who is...
And she's giving out sexual advice to y'all women that have sex on a regular, constant basis, at the same time saying that you are free to express yourself sexually, but also at the same time telling you that you're a child if you cannot have enough discipline to not do certain is
necessarily driven by their sexual urges or feels inclined to act on them, and at the same time they still crave closeness with other people. They still are in community with others they're capable of loving, and they navigate intimacy differently. So it might be that for some asexual people, they feel closeness to their partner when they're holding hands, or maybe like a really tight hug, but they just don't feel sexually inclined. It doesn't mean that they're broken or mentally ill. they just don't feel like they need to have sex. Now
I'm not saying that she's broken or mentally ill. I'm saying that she should not be hating outside the club that she doesn't even want to get in. She should not be hating outside the club of marriage that she does not want to get in. She shouldn't even be speaking on it if she don't want to get in, right? She should not be hating outside the club of love if she doesn't want to get in. She should not be hating outside the club of heterosexual black male and black women, black female dynamics on how we relate to each other if she does not want to relate to each other.
Gray asexual comes in because sexuality is on a spectrum, and the gray part of asexuality, which is where I sit on the spectrum, is I can go another 10 years right now without having sex with a man and not feel like I've lost out on anything. It doesn't mean that I don't experience sexual attraction to men. Doesn't mean that I haven't experienced romantic attraction to men. In fact, the last time I slept with a man was 2021, and that was nice while it lasted. But for me, I'm not somebody who feels impulse driven by my sexual urges. I have a lot. I would say it's like having the self-restraint of a sensei when it comes to sex.
Okay.
Whereas people who are not asexual at all and are probably more on the casual sex side of things, and this is not an insult when I say it, but
it is.
In terms of describing that polarity between self-restraint of a sensei, the more casual sex havers, those who are more impulsively driven by their sexual urges, probably self-restraint of a 5-year-old. And what I mean by that is, if you think of the example of, do you remember in the pandemic when parents would put their phone, like they'll place their phone somewhere and they'll bring their toddler or their young child into the room and they'll say, I'm going to leave the room and I'm going to leave this bag of sweets here. Don't touch the sweets, okay? They come back, the sweets have been open and it eats because the child hasn't got any self-restraint. Now, I liken that to the people, especially women, who they come across a guy they're attracted to and they immediately feel the need to have sex with that guy. They're just, I can't control it. I just really like him.
Yes.
I'm the complete opposite, where you could leave that bag of sweets in the room and you come back and I didn't even touch the bag. Like, I don't want to be pissed off at 8 a.m. because you haven't messaged me.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that becomes a thing after you started sleeping with someone. We talk about expectations of people.
I'm going to screenshot this right here. Give me a minute, y'all. I'll go ahead and screenshot that.
When there's some people that would argue you shouldn't and you should. We all develop expectations of people once we slept with them. If that expectation is a good morning text.
Right.
Or if that expectation is...
There's some attachment.
There is some attachment.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to let y'all go watch the rest of this. I'm going to link both of the videos in the description. I'm kind of done. This is a long ass fucking video. I need to chop this shit down. Figure out how I'm going to dissect this bitch. Like how I'm going to fucking get surgical with this motherfucker. You feel me? But I think I'm going to name this episode, How You Hating Outside the Club When You Don't Even Want to Get in the Club. You don't even want to get in the club, but you hating outside the club. That's a lot of people's lives right now. It's some wild shit, man. I'm cool in the comment section too. But yeah, comment, like, subscribe. Tell me what you think about this. Tell me what you think about not only her views, but what you think about my views. Like, am I tripping for thinking like maybe you should think about who you're getting in contact with when you call about marriage? Or why is it that you think about these things? Why, have you ever thought about why you think about these things and how they connect to your childhood? Because a lot of the times, as much as women say that we have mommy issues, women be having mommy issues too. Women be having mommy issues too. They may be connected with them, but they can still have mommy issues. It's not just daddy issues with women too. Like, she still doesn't talk to her mother to this day. But I'm gonna let that be it. I'm gonna probably link this in the description. Y'all tell me what y'all think about this, man. And like that, we gone. Bun.